10 minutes before the wedding was set to begin, the wedding ring I had personally chosen for Marcus appeared in his childhood sweetheart's Instagram post. Over the phone, he chuckled, "What's the rush? We can always buy another one." The group chat messages went wild. "Brittany is his true love. You're just a gold digger who broke them up." I stared at the close-up of the ring on the screen, captioned by Brittany, "He chose the perfect size." I suddenly remembered Marcus kneeling in the rain 3 years ago, saying, "If I can't marry you, I'll never marry anyone." I turned, ripped off my veil, and smashed the mirror. Amidst the flying glass, I laughed aloud. The wedding goes on. But the groom needs to be replaced. My fingertips brushed across the cell phone screen, the cold sensation traveling along my nerves, freezing me to the core. The perfume floating in the dressing room was sickeningly sweet, and the heavy, pearl-studded veil pressed down, making my temples throb with pain, like an invisible string was tightly constricting them, about to snap. 10 minutes left. Outside, there was a muffled clinking of glasses and chatter, the prelude to the wedding march, the happiness countless guests were waiting to witness. And I, Grace, the bride, spent the 10 minutes before the ceremony frantically searching through every jewelry box, every pocket, even getting on my hands and knees to see if it had rolled into a corner. Nothing. The platinum wedding band, the one I had visited 3 jewelry stores for, had redesigned 3 times, and had our initials engraved on the inside. It was gone. Cold sweat immediately soaked through the lace neckline of my wedding gown. My breathing became ragged, and the edges of my vision started to darken. Marcus's phone call came in at that exact moment, his number dancing on the screen like a lifeline. "Marcus." My voice was a shaky mess. "The ring. The ring is gone. I've looked everywhere, it's not here. The ceremony is about to start." The background noise on his end was a bit loud. He seemed to let out a small chuckle, casually interrupting me with a hint of languor, as if annoyed by a trivial matter. "Is that all? What's the hurry, Grace? It's just a small gathering." He paused. I could even picture him idly adjusting his cuff right now, perhaps with Brittany standing nearby. "We can always buy another one, or 10 if we need to. Is this really worth getting so flustered over? The officiant is calling for me. Be a good girl, go touch up your makeup and come out." The busy signal blared. Beep, beep, beep. I stood frozen, holding my cell phone. The cold, mechanical sound pierced my ears, more cutting than any sharp curse. Buy another one? That was our wedding band. The one engraved with our names, meant to be worn for a lifetime. My nails dug deep into my palm, trying to use the pain to push down the overwhelming dizziness. My cell phone screen was still lit, and I subconsciously tapped to open WhatsApp. The first thing that popped up was Brittany's Instagram post, sent just 10 minutes ago. A photo unexpectedly hit my eyes, and my pupils instantly constricted. The background was a corner of the hotel's luxurious velvet sofa. A slender, fair hand was playfully extended, a ring sparkling brightly on its finger. The lighting had been deliberately adjusted, making the diamond's fire incredibly dazzling, and the platinum band gleamed with a familiar luster. It was the ring I had chosen. I couldn't be mistaken. The tiny polishing mark on the inside of the band was something I had personally confirmed. The caption read, "He always says, it's the perfect size," blushing emoji. Below it, there was already a string of likes and comments from mutual friends. My heart felt like it was brutally squeezed by an icy hand, then violently thrown into a boiling pot of oil. Before I could even recover from the immense shock, the icon for the group chat, which had been silent for a long time and claimed to be Marcus' inner circle of friends and their partners, started flashing frantically, the number instantly jumping to 99 plus. As if possessed, I tapped it open. Chapter 2. Holy crap. Brittany's ring? Marcus gave it to her? Smirking emoji. It has to be Brittany, that ring looks so good on her. Not like some people, forcing their way into a place where they don't belong. Seriously, Marcus and Brittany together? That's what you call a perfect match. Their chemistry has been palpable for years. Someone's just after Marcus's money, aren't they? Such a lavish wedding, just to make sure everyone knows she married well. She's just vain and greedy. Poor, having to put up with this humiliation. Who truly loves in his heart? All of us know, it's just that he can't go against his family. Don't be sad, Brittany. Even if he gets married, you're still the one he cares about most. Each word was like a poison-tipped needle, pricking my eyes and stabbing my heart. My blood rushed to my head with a roar, and a sharp ringing in my ears drowned out all the sounds from outside. My whole body trembled with cold, my fingertips shaking. Just then, Brittany's message suddenly popped up separately, at ing me in this malicious group. "Grace, please don't misunderstand. Grace just saw I accidentally got my hand wet, so he lent me the ring to wear and take a picture. He treats me like his own sister. Really, please don't be upset. Today is your big day, you should be happy. He's good to me because. Anyway, there's absolutely no other meaning behind it. I'll take the ring off right away and send it to your dressing room. The feigned innocence practically wafted through the screen. Every word was an excuse, every phrase subtly highlighting her intimacy with Marcus and my own superfluous, clueless presence as an outsider. She even posted a private chat screenshot with Marcus, who had replied, "Play with it all you want, she's not that petty." Not even my name. The mirror reflected my face at that moment. Under the pristine white veil, my makeup was flawless, yet my face was drained of all color, like a meticulously painted mask that had been discarded. A tidal wave of absurdity washed over me, threatening to drown me. I took out my cell phone and sent a message to the Sanctum chat, "Who's bringing a ring? Let's have a wedding takeover." On my cell phone screen, messages in the Sanctum chat were refreshing at a frantic pace. These people, usually low-key and mysterious, whose names often appeared in financial news headlines and Forbes lists, were now as excited as if they'd had an adrenaline shot. Holy hell, Princess wants a wedding takeover? Send me the coordinates. I'm bringing my family's 10-carat pink diamond and applying for a flight path right now. Pink diamonds are tacky. Grace, the eternal blue diamond I just acquired would suit you perfectly. My helicopter will be there in 10 minutes. Everyone move aside. Grace, look at me. I just got a top-grade imperial jadeite from my mine. Would you dare to wear it as a ring? A barrage of messages exploded, accompanied by dazzling photos of various jewels. Any one of those rings would be enough to buy Marcus's entire company, with plenty left over. They weren't showing off. For people at their level, this was just a basic gesture of help, even carrying a playful hint of trying to cheer me up. The dressing room door was knocked on, and Marcus's friend's impatient voice drifted in from outside. "Grace, are you ready? Marcus is getting anxious." Enough is enough, Brittany didn't mean it. Don't throw a tantrum and make a scene. Chapter 3. Another voice echoed playfully, "Yeah, come out already. If you drag this out any longer, you won't be able to smooth things over if Marcus really gets mad." Their voices, muffled and grating through the door, formed an absurd contrast with the urgent and extravagant support from the group chat. I cast a cold glance at the door, ignoring them. My fingertips scrolled down, bypassing the pictures of the exorbitant rings, and tapped open the only private chat window that had popped up quietly. The profile picture was a silhouette of someone galloping a horse across a prairie, sunlight dappling down, exuding a sense of wild freedom. Contact name, Vance. His message was blunt and direct, carrying his usual assertiveness and indisputable tone. "Wait there, I'm on my way. If you dare marry anyone else, Grace, you're dead meat." Those two short lines were like a calming pill, yet also like an arrow about to be released, cutting through the air and crashing into my chaotic and absurd situation. I could even imagine the storm brewing in his sharp, dark eyes and the gritted teeth expression on his face as he typed them. A strange calm settled in a corner of my heart, and even a long-lost, rebellious warmth flickered to life. He was a world apart from the noisy flies outside and the almost groom who thought just buy another one. Outside, Marcus's friend's chatter grew louder, seemingly mistaking my silence for cowardice and regret. "If you ask me, Marcus is giving her too much credit. Does she really think she's climbed up the social ladder? Coming from a humble background, she just doesn't know how to conduct herself. She freaks out over small things, crying for half a day because she lost a ring. Brittany is much more gracious and proper than her. If it weren't for her family, tisk, well, she'll have plenty of hardships to face later. Once infatuation fades, he'll know who the real good one is." Their voices were unrestrained, even deliberately raised, as if they were speaking directly to me. Every word was filled with disdain for my status and adoration for Brittany. Poor things, they still didn't realize that I, Grace, only started at this company from the bottom to prove to my stubborn old man back home that I could still make a name for myself without the Sterling family's halo. Marcus's company just happened to be the first stepping stone I chose. And himself? He was merely a temporary objective for me to prove my charm and capability. Just that objective, along with his Instagram post, was lower quality than I expected. Marcus? His family did have a bit of money, barely qualifying as new money in this city. But compared to my Sterling family, to the true titans in the Sanctum chat, he was as insignificant as a speck of dust. Everything he and his friends prided themselves on, everything they used to label me as gold digging, was childishly laughable in my eyes. I had originally planned to find a suitable time after the wedding to slowly reveal things to him. To see his surprise, his elation, his increased appreciation for me. Now, it seemed unnecessary. He, and his small-minded circle of friends, would never need to know. Snap. A faint, crisp sound. I looked down to find I had unconsciously broken a lipstick on the dressing table. The vibrant red stick looked like congealed blood, staining my fingertips. The mirror reflected my expression at that moment. The earlier panic and pallor were gone, replaced by a cold, subtly amused sneer. My meticulously drawn eyeliner, sharply winged, outlined a calmness that was almost unnervingly eerie. The music outside seemed to change tempo, and the officiant's enthusiastic voice once again drifted through the door, conducting the final countdown warm-up. Time was almost up. I picked up my cell phone and quickly replied to the Sanctum chat. Coordinates, location, the hotel, come quickly, enjoy the show. Then, I took a deep breath and took one last look at myself in the mirror. The veil had long since been ripped off and discarded on the floor, stepped on. My hair was slightly disheveled, which only added a touch of broken yet dangerous beauty. My eyes were bright and sharp, carrying a fierce determination about to stir up a storm. Good. I turned, no longer the helpless bride searching for a win. Stung by gossip. I straightened my back, each step firm and steady, walking towards the door that separated these two worlds. The moment my fingers touched the doorknob, Marcus's friend's sharp remarks drifted in again. She can only put on a brave face now. Once she's married, she'll have plenty to cry about. Does she really think being a wealthy wife is that easy? Once gets tired of her. I yanked the door open. The men outside, in the midst of their spirited conversation, suddenly fell silent, their faces still holding traces of unmasked sneers and malice, staring in shock at my sudden appearance. My gaze calmly swept over their uncertain, startled faces without lingering, as if they were just irrelevant air. Then, I looked directly towards Marcus, who was not far away, with Brittany clinging to his arm, whispering softly to him. Brittany saw me and immediately put on a worried, innocent expression, saying softly, "Grace, you're finally out? Are you okay? I really didn't mean to take the ring, I'll take it off and give it back to you right now." Marcus also looked up, his brows slightly furrowed with impatience. Done? Hurry up, you've wasted enough time. His words died in his throat. Because I wasn't looking at him, nor at Brittany. My gaze swept past them, fixed on the entrance to the wedding hall. Chapter 4. A considerable stir suddenly erupted there. The crowd parted like the red, moving to either side. A figure, backlit, strode in with long, powerful steps. Tall and imposing, with broad shoulders and long legs, he made a simple black shirt and trousers exude the commanding presence of a top runway model. His features were sharply defined and rugged, his jawline taut, and his eyes, like a hawk's, precisely locked onto my direction. He walked with an unstoppable aura and the urgent bearing of someone who had traveled far. It was Vance. He actually, really came. So quickly. The entire bustling wedding venue fell silent, as if a mute button had been pressed. All the guests' eyes were involuntarily drawn to this suddenly intruding, powerfully charismatic man. Marcus and his friends were also stunned, staring in surprise at the uninvited guest. Vance completely ignored all the gazes, his eyes fixed intently on me as he walked closer, eventually stopping right in front of me. His tall figure cast a shadow that completely enveloped me. His breathing was still a little ragged, clearly from rushing here. There were even tiny beads of sweat on his forehead. His deep gaze roamed over my face, as if to confirm I was unharmed. Then, he suddenly reached out, not to present some peerless piece of jewelry, but to firmly grab my wrist. His palm was scalding hot, his grip strong, conveying an undeniable dominance and a subtly perceptible tremor. "Grace," his voice was deep and hoarse, laced with the fatigue of a long journey and unrestrained fury, echoing through the suddenly silent wedding venue, "you've really outdone yourself." The entire hall fell silent. Everyone stared wide-eyed at the sudden turn of events. Marcus's face finally changed. "Who are you? What do you want?" Vance didn't even spare him a glance, as if he didn't exist. His eyes were only on me, as if trying to pull me in. "The ring," he squeezed out 2 words through gritted teeth, with extreme displeasure, yet it was also like he was confirming a secret code, understood only by us, unintelligible to others. I met his burning gaze, seeing the suppressed storm in his eyes, and suddenly found the whole situation absurdly amusing. I tilted my head slightly, and even gave him the first truly radiant smile I'd managed all morning, stating clearly, "Yep. Missing a ring. So, my gaze swept over the ashen-faced Marcus and his stunned friends, finally returning to Vance's face, my voice light and clear, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. Are you here to claim the bride? Vance immediately knelt on one knee and produced a ring, which I reached out and put on my finger. Marcus's look of bewilderment lasted only a few seconds, quickly replaced by a mix of absurdity and anger. He looked at Vance's firm grip on my wrist, then at me, a sarcastic curve to his lips. Grace, he said, his voice lowered, imbued with a smug superiority, are you done with your little show? Do you really think finding some random guy to play along will scare me? Or save your reputation? He sized Vance up and down. Vance was dressed simply, with no obvious logos, and looked travel-worn. Marcus's contempt deepened. How much did you pay to hire this guy? Tell him to get lost. Don't make a fool of yourself here. Brittany also opportunely released Marcus's arm and stepped forward. Her face was etched with a pitiful, worried expression, but her eyes, when they flickered over Vance, held unconcealed contempt, as if she were looking at something vile. Grace, why are you doing this? Her voice was soft, yet every word was sharp. Today is your and Marcus's big day. It looks so bad to cause such a scene. I know you're angry, but you can't just drag some stranger here to upset Marcus. Tell him to leave, the wedding can still go on. No sooner had she finished speaking than an even greater commotion erupted at the banquet hall entrance. Unlike direct arrival, this time it was a group of people. They were dressed in various styles, some in sharp suits, as if fresh from an international conference, others in casual wear that still bespoke expensive nonchalance. One even wore a racing suit, idly twirling car keys in his hand. Yet, each of them exuded an undeniable aura, a composure and commanding presence cultivated from long years of leadership and power. They walked in as if no one else existed, their gazes accurately finding me, their faces showing expressions of amusement mixed with a hint of I knew it. Well, Grace, is this the commoner you picked? The young man twirling car keys spoke first, his tone languid, yet his eyes sharply point over Marcus and Brittany, as if examining some strange new species. Another man, wearing gold-rimmed glasses and a bespoke suit, pushed up his glasses, his tone flat and unruffled. The venue's all right, but the guests are a bit low-class, too noisy. His gaze landed on Marcus, who was just saying they wanted someone to get lost. Chapter 5. Marcus and his friends were instantly dumbfounded. They might not have known everyone in this group, but they had occasionally seen some of their faces on the covers of local financial magazines, or in reports from top-tier business summits that their families had desperately tried to associate with. These people, how could they be here? And greeting Grace so familiarly? The man with glasses impatiently pulled out his cell phone and made a call, his tone as indifferent as if he were ordering dinner. Yes, it's me. Look into a company called Hayes. Yes, everything. Prepare an acquisition plan as quickly as possible. He hung up, smiled at me, and said casually, as if offering a bouquet of flowers, Grace, a wedding gift. Once the acquisition is done, it's yours and Vance's to play with. Marcus looked as if he'd been struck by lightning, his face instantly turning deathly pale. Hayes. Acquisition? Brittany, however, hadn't yet grasped the situation. She was enraged by this blatant disregard and disrespect, especially seeing those suddenly appearing, obviously wealthy and powerful men flocking around me. Her eyes reddened with jealousy, and she actually tried to step forward to confront them. Who are you? What nonsense are you spouting here? Marcus. Her female companion, who had been silent and desperately pulling on her sleeve, finally panicked. Her face ashen, she grabbed Brittany's arm with a death grip, almost trembling as she pulled out her cell phone, quickly searched for something, and then thrust it in front of Brittany, her voice shaking. Brittany, stop talking. Look. Just look. On the cell phone screen was a snapshot from financial news. The man in the photo was Vance, stepping out of a limited edition Bugatti, his profile stern. The headline blared, Mysterious Generation of Vance Makes Public, Expected to Lead Dollar Border. Brittany's eyes widened abruptly, staring at the cell phone screen in disbelief. Then she quickly looked up at the very real, imposing Vance standing before them, her lips trembling. All color drained from her face in an instant, and the hand holding the cell phone shook so violently she could barely grip it. Marcus also saw the photo. He looked as if a bucket of ice water had been poured over him from head to toe, his entire body stiffening, his pupils dilating in shock. He whipped his head to look at me, his eyes filled with immense horror, bewilderment, and disbelief. The next second, he seemed to snap back to reality, forcing a smile onto his face that was uglier than a cry, almost fawning. His voice was dry and trembling as he tried to take a step forward. Grace. I didn't know. He was incoherent, the immense shock and fear making him lose his composure. I've always loved you. Really, he declared desperately, trying to grasp at the last straw. It was all Brittany. She was the one who kept seducing me. I was out of my mind. Grace, please give me another chance. I truly love you. I looked at his hypocritically obsequious, utterly repulsive face, feeling nothing but endless disgust and coldness deep inside. I gently took Vance's arm, feeling the instant tensing of his muscles and the reliable strength emanating from him. I looked at Marcus, my gaze calm and unruffled, even tinged with a hint of pity. Marcus, my voice echoed clearly in the silent hall, every word a stinging slap across his and his equally dumbfounded friends' faces. You just said we weren't in the same league. I paused, meeting his pale, desperate gaze, and slowly, word by word, declared with resounding clarity, you're right. We are indeed not in the me league. But it's you who isn't worthy of me. Marcus's urgent declaration, I truly love you, hadn't even fully left his lips when Brittany, standing nearby, exploded like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Her facade of pitiful innocence and delicate helplessness shattered instantly, replaced by a sharp, wild rage born of betrayal. She violently shook off her companion, who was still trying to calm her, and pointed a finger at my nose, her voice so shrill it almost pierced everyone's eardrums. Marcus. Wake up. She's lying to you. She's a fraud. Her features distorted with extreme anger and jealousy. Sterling. Who doesn't know that president's daughter has been studying abroad and has never made a public appearance? Her? Grace? The who works as a team leader in our company's marketing department, takes the subway and works overtime every day, begging and pleading for a mere few $100,000 deal, is Sterling's heiress? If you're going to tell a story, at least make it believable. She spoke quickly and urgently, as if clinging to a last straw that could overturn everything, spittle almost flying from her mouth. She just wants to save face. She found these actors from who knows where to put on a show for you. Acquire Incorporated? That's hilarious. Do you think this is a TV drama? The more she spoke, the more agitated she became, a torrent of vile insults pouring out. Grace, you're a shameless bitch. A manipulative schemer. You can't keep a man yourself, so you resort to such despicable tactics. Do you think Marcus will want you like this? Dream on. A woman with your low-class background, who only knows how to play games, deserves to be used up and discarded. You're not even fit to shine my shoes. The entire hall fell silent, with only Brittany's hysterical screams echoing. The guests wore various expressions, shock, disdain, and of voyeuristic interest in the unfolding drama. Marcus's face alternated between green and white as she yelled at him. And he seemed to waver in doubt, his eyes darting suspiciously between me and the dignified actors. Vance's gaze was already cold enough to freeze someone to death. Just as he was about to move, I gently pressed his hand. I looked at her, my face devoid of even a hint of anger, only a nearly compassionate calm, as if watching a clumsy farce. When she had finally exhausted herself, her voice cracking and her breathing ragged from agitation, I slowly began to speak. My voice was not loud, yet it clearly cut through her heavy gasps, carrying a cold, penetrating force. Brittany, I said, calling her name coolly, are you finished? She glared at me fiercely, her chest heaving violently. Chapter 6. I let out a soft laugh, devoid of warmth, filled only with knowing mockery. You say I'm a liar? That I'm putting on an act? I paused, my gaze sweeping over Marcus's pale face, then settling back on Brittany. And what about you? Those 2 years you spent at New University, were you really furthering your studies? What did your so-called sugar daddy billionaire, Jeffrey, do to make his fortune? Do I need to give everyone here a lesson in that? Brittany's pupils contracted sharply, all color instantly draining from her face, leaving her more terrified than when she had seen Vance's photo. I gave her no time to react, continuing in that calm yet resonant tone, syllable by syllable, to peel back the rot beneath her glamorous facade. You've had 3 abortions. 2 were because of Jeffrey, and another was because you were dating 3 men at once and couldn't identify the father, so you had no choice but to terminate. Do I need to name the private clinic and the attending doctor? Those large, suspicious transfers in your account, do I need to have someone trace their origins to see if they're enough to land you in prison for the rest of your life? And, are you really back this time because you missed Marcus? I scoffed. Or is it because Jeffrey's wife finally discovered your existence and sent people to talk to you, which scared you out of your wits and sent you scurrying back? Every word was like an ice-tempered knife, precisely piercing Brittany's most unspeakable secrets. Her body began to tremble violently, her eyes filled with immense fear and disbelief, her lips quivering, unable to utter a single sound. "Oh, right," I said, as if suddenly remembering something, finally turning my gaze to Marcus, who was completely rigid and ashen beside me, my tone casual. "Marcus, your cherished, pure and flawless Brittany, does she have a small, butterfly-shaped red birthmark just below her right breast? It's quite distinctive." Marcus snapped his head up to look at me, his eyes filled with shattered belief and profound disgust. As if truly seeing Brittany for the first time, he violently shook off her hand, which had instinctively tried to grasp his arm, and stumbled back a step, as if he had touched something utterly filthy. His face was ashen, his gaze hollow, as if his entire world had crumbled into dust before him. He opened his mouth, a choked, guttural sound escaping his throat, but no words came out. I watched his distraught expression coldly, without a ripple of emotion. If only he had known this day would come, he might have acted differently. "Let's go." I couldn't be bothered to watch this repulsive farce any longer, so I tightened my grip on Vance's arm. "The air here is too polluted." Vance hadn't looked at either of them again from start to finish. His gaze remained fixed on me, filled with a complex mix of tenderness, admiration, and unyielding determination. He reached back and tightly clasped my hand, a steady warmth flowing into me. "All right," he murmured, his voice calm and dependable. We turned and, under the full silence of the hall and the gaze of countless shocked, scrutinizing, and awed eyes, walked through the crowd as if no one else was there, heading for the hall's exit. The heirs who had come to us. How their support exchanged glances and followed us in silent agreement, like the most loyal bodyguards, wordlessly shielding us from any potential disturbances. No one dared to stop us. Not even a loud breath was drawn. Stepping out of the hotel, the afternoon sun was a bit glaring. Vance's car was conspicuously parked at the end of the red carpet. "Where to?" He opened the car door for me, his hand chivalrously placed on the roof. I settled into the passenger seat, buckled my seatbelt, and turned my head to look at him, finally showing a truly relaxed, even mischievous smile. "City Hall isn't closed yet, is it?" Vance paused, then an incredibly bright smile, wild and utterly delighted, bloomed on his face, dispelling all his sternness. "Got it." The engine let out a deep, pleasant roar, and the car sped away like an arrow from this chaotic and contentious place. The procedures at City Hall were unexpectedly swift. When I held the two red marriage certificates in my hands, looking at the names and photos side by side, it still felt a little unreal. Just like that. I got married? And in such a monumental way. Vance, no, he was now my legal husband, held my hand tightly, his thumb stroking the diamond ring he had, unbeknownst to me, prepared at some point, a ring that fit perfectly. His eyes shone with astonishing brightness. "Chapter 7 Mrs. Vance," he said, his voice deep and filled with evident pleasure and contentment, "please guide me for the rest of our lives." My face flushed. Just as I was about to speak, my cell phone began to ring furiously. "Caller ID, Dad." I took a deep breath and answered the call. There was a 3-second silence on the other end, then my father, William, spoke, his voice betraying no emotion. "Had enough drama?" Got your marriage certificate?" Yeah." Another silence, then he said, "Vance is all right. Better than his old man." That was probably the highest praise my strict father could ever give. Then, his tone shift. Returning to that of a ruthless capitalist, "Once you're done playing, get back to the company immediately. There's a problem with the acquisition deal in Europe, and their representative specifically asked for you to negotiate. I want to see you in my office within 10 minutes. Also, since you're married, I'm handing over that new mining project in Africa for you to follow up on. Take your husband with you. Don't even think about slacking off." Before I could even protest, the phone clicked and hung up. I held my cell phone, exchanging a silent look with Vance. Vance raised an eyebrow, took my cell phone and glanced at the call history, then chuckled knowingly. "Looks like Mr. William intends to make full use of everything, not even sparing his son-in-law. What else could we do?" Half an hour later, Vance and I, two freshly minted newlyweds, were already seated on the top floor of Sterling headquarters, in my spacious CEO's office, large enough to play basketball in. Piles of documents lay before me. Urgent emails and meeting reminders constantly popped up on my computer screen. A dozen executives stood attentively by my desk awaiting instructions, and secretaries bustled in and out with even more folders. Documents for the European acquisition, exploration reports for the African mining project, quarterly financial statements, strategic planning, countless decisions needed to be made immediately, countless problems solved at once. From an absurdly surreal wedding venue, I was instantly plunged into another battlefield, one without smoke and fire, yet equally tense and fierce. I hadn't even had time to change out of my expensive custom wedding gown, only hastily throwing on a suit jacket that an assistant had brought. It looked mismatched, yet it somehow exuded a strange, decisive ruthlessness. Vance, too, had been roped in by a single phone call from my dad, given a stack of documents about the future cooperation between Vance and Sterling. He sat on the sofa in the reception area, brows tightly furrowed, quickly flipping through the pages and occasionally posing a sharp question or two. No flowers or candlelight, no romantic dinner, not even a single tender conversation. Only mountains of documents, a flickering computer screen, and the city lights outside the window. And the cold, solid ring on my hand, and the man beside me, legally mine and fighting by my side. This was probably our first day of marriage. Crazy, chaotic, and incredibly busy. Yet, strangely, I felt a sense of unprecedented groundedness and happiness. One late autumn evening, the glass facade of Sterling reflected the last rays of the setting sun, and a crisp chill had already settled in the air. I had just finished a long executive meeting, rubbed my throbbing temples, and pulled my overcoat tighter as I hurried towards my waiting chauffeur-driven car. A day of relentless work had left me almost completely drained. I just wanted to get home quickly. Vance should be home by now, perhaps frowning at his watch, wondering if he should call to check in on me if I didn't return soon. A smile unconsciously curved my lips at the thought of his expression. Just as I pulled open the car door and was about to step in, a dark figure suddenly darted out from behind a nearby pillar, startling the chauffeur, who immediately stepped in front of me protectively. Grace! Grace! Wait! Please, wait! His voice was hoarse, filled with a desperate, wild despair. I frowned and looked closely, barely recognizing the person before me. It was Marcus. But he was no longer the Marcus I remembered, who, even at his lowest, always maintained a certain air of a young master. His hair was disheveled, his eyes sunken, and he sported a scruffy beard. The suit he wore, once expensive, was now wrinkled and stained with unknown grime. His entire being exuded an aura of utter defeat, of a man at rock bottom. He looked at me with panicked eyes, his lunge halted by the chauffeur's intervention, leaving him flopping like a dying fish on dry land. Grace. I'm ruined. He babbled incoherently, his lips trembling. It was Brittany. That vicious woman. She tricked me. She set me up. He frantically tried to push past the chauffeur, his voice laced with a sob. She said there was a surefire project, that her new guy had insider information. I believed her lies. I put in every last penny I had, even the money my parents secretly mortgaged their house for. But it was nothing more than a shell company. The moment the money hit the account, she and that man ran off with it. They're gone. It's all gone. He punched his chest violently, his eyes bloodshot. I was so furious he ended up in the hospital. Predators come to our house daily to vandalize it with paint. The family is really going bankrupt this time. It's completely over. Grace. For the sake of our past, please help me, lend me some money, or get your dad, get the Vance to help out the Hayes family, I'm begging you. Tears and snot streamed down his face, he was practically on his knees, his posture utterly degraded. I looked at his pathetic state, unable to describe what I felt. There was a touch of surprise, but mostly a sense of absurdity. All the past events flashed through my mind like a faded silent film, stirring no sympathy, only noise. Before I could even speak, a cold, deep voice sounded from behind me, carrying an undeniable pressure. Mr. Marcus. I hadn't noticed Vance arrive. He strode forward, tall and unyielding like a pine tree. His black cashmere overcoat accentuated his stern features. He didn't even spare Marcus a glance, walking directly to my side and, with a perfectly natural gesture, drew me behind him, completely shielding me from Marcus with his body. His actions were intensely protective and possessive. Only then did he cast his gaze upon the disheveled Marcus, his eyes devoid of any warmth, as if looking at an eyesore. When you ask for help, you should have the PR. Oprah attitude. Vance's voice was low, yet each word was like an ice pick, striking Marcus's face. Blocking my wife's company entrance, yelling and disturbing her. Is that the Hayes family's upbringing? Marcus flinched under his gaze, opening his mouth as if to speak. Vance didn't give him a chance, continuing coldly, your failed investment is a result of your own foolish gullibility, and no one else is to blame. The survival of the Hayes family has absolutely nothing to do with my wife. Her kindness doesn't mean anyone can come and guilt trip her. He paused, a faint, yet profoundly sarcastic, curve played on his lips. As for that past history? Marcus, honestly, do you even deserve to bring it up? When you and Brittany humiliated her at the wedding, did you show even an ounce of consideration? Each word was like a heavy slap across the face, leaving Marcus pale, speechless, and swaying unsteadily. Vance no longer looked at him. His arm around me tightened, and when he looked down at me, his eyes instantly softened, and his voice grew gentle. Are you okay? Let's go home. I shook my head, leaning against him. He held me, walking straight ahead without a glance to the side, towards the black sedan with its audacious license plate that had just pulled up. The chauffeur had already deftly opened the car door. From beginning to end, I didn't say another word to Marcus. There was no satisfaction in his downfall, nor any false sympathy. He was merely a complete, irrelevant stranger. His joys, sorrows, life or death could no longer stir my emotions in the slightest. Outside the car window, his disheveled figure, slumped on the ground, rapidly receded and soon vanished. Later, while chatting casually with a business partner who happened to be a distant relative of the Hayes family, they sighed as they mentioned that Marcus had somehow tracked down Brittany and the swindler. The two of them had actually dared to publicly hold a wedding. Marcus completely lost his mind, stormed into the wedding with bloodshot eyes, and started a brawl, causing utter chaos. During the commotion, Brittany, who was reportedly pregnant at the time, was violently pushed to the ground, immediately bleeding and losing the baby. Marcus was also arrested for assault and disturbing the peace. The partner lamented, "What a tragedy. A once good family, utterly destroyed like that." I held my coffee cup, listening quietly, my gaze fixed on the bustling street outside the window. The sun was bright, shining through the glass onto my desk, illuminating it warmly. Vance had invited me to a new French restaurant that evening. Those distant, bloody, tragic farces sounded like vague static from another world. Truly, they no longer had any connection to me. Thank you for watching today's story. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your views, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.